Welcome to Lesson 7 in our ACC 302 class. Today we discuss subsequent events, reporting, and discovery of facts existing as of the day of the auditor's report as presented in the text in chapters 13 and 14. A subsequent event is a transaction that may have impact on the financial statements and occurs after the balance sheet date but before the financial statement report is issued. There are two types of such events: those conditions that existed at the date of the balance sheet and, number two, conditions that did not exist at the date of the balance sheet. For the first type, the auditor makes an adjusting entry to adjust the financial statement. The text gives two examples of this type. For the second type, the auditor should disclose the transaction in the notes to the financial statement. Five examples are presented in order to illustrate this idea. The book repeats the information in a timeline diagram on page 103, worth examining. This diagram should help you visualize the sequence of discovery and reporting that should take place. Two time periods are listed for each of the two types of subsequent events, making four possible outcomes. The table below the chart presents the auditor's responsibility for each of these categories of subsequent events. You should use this information to answer the discussion questions assigned in the chapter. When an event is discovered after the end of fieldwork, but before the audit report is issued, the auditor has two options for dating the audit report. The first is to use the date of the event as the date of the audit report. The second is to dual date the report by disclosing the event as a separate footnote with a date different from the overall report. This second method assumes less responsibility for the auditor. Using the first method requires the auditor take responsibility for the significant subsequent events and should perform audit procedures to identify the presence or lack of additional events that are subsequent. The procedures for discovery are listed on page 104. We will discuss all five shortly. The entire list of 12 procedures for search are listed on the following page 105. These go back to earlier chapters dealing with other types of transactions and give a complete picture of the necessary search questions to answer before issuing the audit report. Chapter 14 next deals with the discovery of facts existing at the date of the auditor's report. After the CPA issues the auditor's report, we discover information that was already existing as of that date. When this happens, there is a list of 10 steps to take to satisfy auditor's responsibility. And in order, item 1 gives examples of such possible events. Item 2 is to determine the information, if the information is reliable and existed at the date of the audit report. Number 3 is to determine if the information would have affected the report had it been known. Item 4 is to assess whether persons are still relying on the report. Item 5, if we say yes to 2, 3, or 4, then we advise the client to make appropriate disclosure. Item 6, if the client refuses to make such disclosure, we take the following steps. Item 7, notify each member of the board of the refusal. Number 8, notify the client that the audit report is nullified. Number 9, notify the SEC and other regulatory agencies of the failure to disclose. And item 10, notify known users of the financial statements not to rely on them. The chapter concludes with a number of examples of these types of events and a list of 4 things to do in the case of each event. As we take a look at the lesson syllabus outline, you'll see there are 4 discussion questions to complete. You've been doing quite well on these. A brief answer to each, and similar to those previous, will be just fine. And we're looking forward to one more lesson to end the term and begin a new topic or a new term the following week. Thank you very much.